It appears that I've got called out today. Yes. So currently, I'm experiencing van problems yet again. My van is having in my opinion, a very big problem with its steering mechanism. I took it to the mechanic and I just spent about $1,100 on brakes, rotors, new sway bar link or whatever the hell, bushings and greasing and stuff, this and that, and blah blah blah. This is stuff that I needed anyways. Well, so it did not cure the problem. I still cannot drive faster than about 45, 50 miles an hour, and the steering is like this. It's like, whoa. Ford E350 2006. It only has 82,000 miles on it, or 83,000 now because I'm driving it. But it's steering like this. If I go on the highway, I feel like I'm going to steer myself into a ditch, right? So I'm waiting for the mechanic to get back to me because he's having some issues finding some kind of specs or another on some measurements of play and the steering. This is going to be a problem. This is why I expected to be in Texas or at least the surrounding area for going into the summertime, and it's starting to get a little bit hot now, and it's only going to get hotter. So I was having a conversation with someone, and they remarked to me about I should have took my van to a mechanic first before I bought it, and they are 100% correct. Anytime somebody buys a vehicle, you should always take it to a mechanic to have them look it over. And when I test drove the vehicle, I could feel in the steering that something was wrong. I'm not a mechanic. I assumed that either it needed tires in the front, like maybe or to rotate them, or it needs an alignment. Practically none of you guys know me in real life. Damn near 99.9% of you guys. I paid $15,000 for a 2006 Ford E350 with 80, at the time it had like about 81,000 miles on it. $15,000. Now, I know a lot of you guys are like, what the fuck? You paid 15 grand for a fucking almost a 20-year-old van, blah, blah, blah. Let me explain. Number one, yes, I know I overpaid for the van. Even if the van, excuse me, even if the van had no issues in the front end, that van should have only been 12,000. But a lot of you guys may not know this, but I had to buy the van because it was literally fucking my life over. I have never in my life had any kind of money to spend until the last 4 years. I grew up fucking poor. I'm talking about holes in your clothes, worn out shoes, roaches in your food. You open up the refrigerator, there's roaches in your refrigerator. That's how poor I didn't have access to a car. My mother didn't have a car. She was fucking poor. We didn't have shit. Now, I don't mean to make it out like poor me, woe is me. No, I didn't know any better at the time, so it didn't really bother me. Looking back on it now, if I were to look at myself as a kid, yeah, dude, I would feel bad for myself. But I knew no better. It's not like I starved or anything like that. But I pretty much, from the time I was about 14 years old, I would shoplift. And then whatever I shoplift, I would take it to a store to sell just to have money for me to buy my own food or buy my own clothes or what. I've been doing that since I was 14. And then when I was 18, I got a job. So having money is not, I'm not a millionaire. I don't have a lot of money, but I have indiscretionary income. So as a lot of you guys, some of you guys may not know this, but of course, you know, with the whole uh, uh, pandemic BS, everything has inflation has skyrocketed. I'm 40. I'll be 45 in a few months. I've never seen inflation like this ever in my life. It is at historic proportions. It damn near everything I see, the price is overinflated. Right now, the only thing I can't really say that is inflated is gas, right? Because gas has been this price even before this whole thing even began. So, and at the end of 2022, I was coming back to Texas and I needed to buy a van, right, for a tax write-off. I'm still new to the whole writing taxes off, and you have to buy something, and if you make too much money, they're gonna take more, so you gotta spend. Like that's new to me. Like I'm like, what the hell, right? And I'm trust me, trust and believe, I'm paying for that now. So, I was talking to an accountant, and he said, yeah, you need to buy a van. He says, and you need to do it like before the 31st of December, or and he was explaining to me taxable income, whatever. So I said, okay. The nightmare began. I, in retrospect, should have went to a dealership and just paid $40,000 for a van. That's what I should have done. If I could tell Lamont of today, talking to Lamont December 17, 2022, I would have said, bro, just go to the damn just go get a damn Sprinter. Just trust me, just go buy it. But to spend an enormous amount of money on a vehicle is absolutely insane to me. It still is quite insane. So I said, you know, to myself, I said, let me go try to just buy a van. And let me tell you, when I say this, I'm not being facetious. When I say this, and some of you guys have, you know, been in my lives where I've ranted about this or what have you. The absolute nightmare of buying a van for the next 4 months from December of 2022. This shit lasted until like what, April of 2023 is when I bought this van. Now, my van had to be white. It had to be a certain size. I couldn't buy the really long van, you know, those stupid like long where you think that's too long. But it couldn't be a short van because it needs enough space to store my stuff because I have a lot of stuff. I live in a van, in a trailer. I need my stuff with me. And this is stuff that I use. Now, I got a lot of miscellaneous crap that I'm going to be getting rid of, but for the most part, I have research materials. I need them. So, I did not know that the odyssey of me looking for this vehicle would come to the extent of where not only is it affecting me mentally, but also financially. Do you know how much money I lost in productivity looking for those 4 or 5 months for a van? Trust me, a lot. Imagine if somebody made $1,000 a week. Right, let's just say you're like, I make $1,000 a week, and because of you having to look for a van, it went down to like $550 a week. So that's basically kind of what happened to me. I did not know it would take me 4 months to buy a van. I had absolutely no idea. Every van that I seen in the state of Texas, I'm talking about from Port Arthur, which is like the coast, the Gulf of Houston area, all the way to the border with Oklahoma and Oklahoma City. Every damn van that I've seen that I was interested in buying, there was always a problem. First of all, they don't speak any fucking English. Everybody in Texas that was selling like a white van are Latino, and their English ain't that. Their English is nothing. There ain't no fucking English. Their ads are in Spanish. They don't speak any English. Now I got a friend, I can call her anytime because she works at home. She speaks Spanish, so I can call her anytime to translate. And then some of these guys, a lot of these guys, the title's not in their name. They don't want to deal with me because I don't speak Spanish, which leads me to believe they're doing something weird. Their vans have rebuilt titles, which didn't bother me. I would still buy a van with a rebuilt title, and I actually did. But the van that's another story. So every time I went to go look for a van, and like they didn't speak any English, like they wouldn't meet me, or it was always some nonsense. Or the van was a piece of crap. You see the van, like, you know, like in the pictures it looks good, and then when you test drive it, it drives like shit. I could not buy a cargo van. Cargo vans, the suspension, and I could be wrong, but they're different to me versus a passenger van because it's just a rigid ride, and I drive, you know, once I get back to normal, I haven't been on a normal schedule since October 2022. Yeah, I have not been on a normal schedule since October of 2022. That's a year and a half. So I'm looking at vans, they're messed up. I'm not looking at any cargo vans, and then I start getting desperate, and I'll say, okay, maybe I will drive a cargo van, whatever. And then finally, this van, I bought it. The dude wanted, like, he would not budge off the price. He just wouldn't. I think I offered him $13,500. He's like, no. He goes, no. And by this time now, it's been 5 months of me looking for vans. I'm doing YouTube videos still, but I'm not like focused on it because this van thing is driving me up the wall. My trailer broke down. I'm crashing out of my minivan. I'm getting burnt out and tired. And so I see this van and I feel like it needs an alignment, but it only has like 81,000 miles on it. The dude that I bought it from, Mexican dude, but he spoke English and the title was in his name. He would not budge off the price. So I left, right? The next day, I'm looking on Facebook Marketplace and I see the same van, passenger van, E350, 80,000 miles. This one had 80,000. Mine had 81,000 and change. At a dealer, this motherfucker wanted $23,995 for this fucking van. And then I start looking up Ford E350s, and I'm like, why are these vans so much more expensive than any other van? And then I started like, and people are like, oh, it's a great van. It's the best cargo van ever made, blah, blah, blah. I know a lot of you guys in the comments are probably going to disagree. Oh, you know, Chevy or Dodge is best, whatever. I wanted a Chevy Express. So so when I seen that price, $24,000, and the van drove fine. The van runs great. It's just the front end. So I bought the van. I put it in storage. I wanted to deal with the whole getting it fixed and having it looked at, because I knew when I bought it, I knew I was taking a chance that it would need more work. And I already knew that. I acknowledge that. That's how desperate I was. Yeah, sure. In my opinion, this van ain't worth more than $12,000. And that's fixed. It ain't worth more than 12 grand. That's how desperate I was to get a van to stop this nonsense of me not being able to focus on work, focus on what I want to do, because I'm worried about it, and I'm like not doing any videos, I'm not editing any videos, and I'm just driving up and down Texas to talk to people that don't speak any fucking English. I swear to God. And this video, I probably should have made this video about 6 months ago. I swear to God, I could not give my money away to somebody to buy their van. This dude, this is beautiful. This guy had a 2018, I think it was 2018, or it could have been a 2016 Chevy Express. It had the big ass what was it? It was the engine. It wasn't a 5.4. I think it was 6-liter engine, gas guzzling fucking engine. This dude wanted $28,000 for the van. It had 60,000 miles on it. And dude, so I didn't, it's 28,000 cash. I'm like, I'm not gonna. That's crazy. And then later on, I seen his ad. It went down to 27.5. It went down to 27. And so it goes down to 26. So I'm so desperate. I know this van is a gas guzzler, and I don't want a gas guzzling van because I drive a lot. But I'm gonna to pull my trailer, and with the weight, I need a bigger van. Minivan ain't gonna cut it. I called this nerd. He's like, hello, 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 I talk like this, and I said, hey, you still got the van? He said, yeah. I said, when can I come test drive it? That's when you know you have a tire kicker or someone serious. You start asking questions over the phone. If somebody starts asking questions, they're not that serious. If you're selling a vehicle and someone says, when can I come see it? They're serious. They're not fucking around. They mean they want to spend some money. So he said, well, I'm out of the country right now. Where was this? This guy was like, I'm in El Salvador. And I said, is the title in your name? And he says, well, the title is kind of it's I lost it, so I'm waiting for it. If he would have had the title, I would have bought that van. I would have bought it because I was desperate for a van. Of course, and the van wasn't even the van that I wanted because the van was too long. It was too big, but I was I didn't care. I was desperate. And the up and down roller coaster of me looking for a vehicle, absolutely fucking crazy. And I tell you this, never in my life again will I ever buy a private party van. I'm just gonna go to the dealer. It's not worth it to deal with these clowns. It's just absolutely not. So anyways, going back to the crux of the story. So I got called out because I didn't take the van to a mechanic. So normally when you buy a van, let's say, you buy a van, you're going to spend $15,000. Yeah, you want to take it to a mechanic and have them do an engine diagnostic and have them drive it and road test it to see all this and that, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if it's not as bad nowadays as it was last year. You could not get a mechanic to get a free blowjob that you would hire a skank to do. You could not get a mechanic. You couldn't get your van in. Yeah, hey, I bought a van. I need to have it looked at. Oh, I could squeeze you in next Tuesdays from 5 Fridays, faggot. It's like one of those things, right? So I said, okay, so we can't get a van into a mechanic. It's just not happening. So there would have been no point to take the van to a mechanic because I was worried. Now, I'm pretty sure, looking back on it, this guy would not have gotten $15,000 from anybody else. He probably would have ended up selling it for about $13,000. He probably would have been mad that he didn't take my offer, or maybe somebody would have given him money. I don't know. I could not take the van to a mechanic because you couldn't. And it was literally, it was costing me money, not spending money. I think that if I would have gone ahead and bought a brand new ass van, I would have made out even at the end with just me losing out and just me getting fat and not going to the gym and being, and this was, I wouldn't say it was stressing me out. I don't get stressed out, but I do get agitated, which might be two of the same things. So I bought the van without taking it to a mechanic because literally this was affecting my life and I could not have it, right? I can't do it. I need to be able to move about the country as freely as possible. I don't have time to sit and do stuff. Okay, you see a lot of these van dwellers on YouTube, right? You know, and I don't watch their channels because I think they're absolutely dreadful and boring. But you see a lot of these guys, and they just like they sit back and do nothing. And I'm like, what is the purpose of your channel? Like, I don't do that. Like, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. I'm not saying nothing of a kind. I don't have time to sit. Okay. When I sit, that's when I'm researching videos, looking stuff up. That's when I sit. When I wake up, I'm going to do one of two things. I'm going to, and this is when I'm in the normal frame of mind. I'm going to go to the gym and then start my day. Or if I'm pressed for time, I'm going to get up and guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to start working. I'm going to start working. I don't have time to sit around and look at birds. I'll look at birds, but I'm working. I'm always doing something. I never not do anything. I have my days where I feel like I'm lazy. One of those days was yesterday. And trust me, I have those days. But when I say a lazy day, I'm still editing a video. I'm still going through old videos, seeing what I can do with them, or if they're just trash and I gotta throw them away, or just looking up stories. I'm always doing something. I always want to be productive. And when I was not doing YouTube and I was driving a taxi, I still was always productive. Always woke up going straight to work or going to the gym and then going to work. I'm always doing something. People, I always say this. I will say that I feel that a lot of times, and I'm just going to use them as an example because it's the easiest one to come up with. Black women get a lot more flack than they deserve at times. And, a lot of people, if we see videos like black women fighting, acting ghetto, acting hood, like that stupid Unstoppable Moron video, which I will be talking about on my other channel, where, Unstoppable Moron was getting into it with this black woman, and the black woman, she was acting ghetto too, and it's just like, it's easy to look at that black woman and be like, you're so ghetto, yeah, and Unstoppable Moron was a total cunt, and I really believe she is, but we're not black. We're not a woman. We're not a black woman. We don't know what it's like to walk in the shoes. Now, maybe her upbringing wasn't the best. Maybe her father wasn't around. Maybe she grew up in the hood. Maybe she had a great life. Maybe her family was well off and she's still hood because she just wants to be hood. She wants to play that role. Whatever the case might be, oftentimes I think what we fail to realize is that it's easy, and I do this all the time, and I'm still going to continue to do it because I make a living doing it. I'm always going to judge another person's actions based off I'm always going to judge a person's character based on the actions that I see and what they're doing, right? I'm going to make a judgment call, and I feel that I personally am the best judge of character I know. If anybody can judge somebody's character, that's me. Nobody does it better than me. I'm a great analyst when it comes to human behavior, how people act, why they do certain things, and I never give myself any kudos. I don't say like, "Oh, I'm a great person. I'm awesome." I don't do that shit. But I could tell you, I can meet you and quickly see what kind of person you are, and there are times I've been wrong at times, but I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna stick to my guns. Unfortunately, I don't always follow my own advice because I bought the van, even though something said like, I didn't buy the van. I offered him the cash when he said no, I had a cigar and I left. And if I would have never seen that Facebook ad for that van for the $24,000, I would have never bought the van. I would have just kept looking and kept looking. And guys, mind you, by the time I started looking, by the time I was about to, I bought this van, I was already going to dealerships, and I was already finding the same problem at dealerships. And man, you know, I was close to spending the $40,000 just to get a van. I just didn't want to do it because like it's like I don't want to give you $35,000 for an overly inflated priced van. So trust and believe. If it was available to me, I would have, you know, definitely would have had the van checked out. But you know, it's when you live the life that I live, and you know for a fact that you will always live in a van. And sometimes people will say, "Oh, you're going to want to settle down one day." No, the fuck I'm not. No. As the Lord allows me good health, and if I'm able enough, I will always live in a van. I'm not saying I won't buy a house one day, maybe, or have a piece of or somewhere to go, but I will never wake up in the same place twice in the same month. Never. I'll always be on the road until my last breath. And the reason why is because I love doing what I do. I love my life. You know when you see these people and they're like, man, they're so, you know, these like, oh, I love that, you know, you're shut the fuck up, you know. No, I love what I do. I love, like, I have the best job ever, and never in my life will I ever take advantage of what I have, what I, you know, what, like my reach on social media. And you know, listen, sometimes I think it's so stupid. Sometimes I think it's so stupid that I can wake up and literally make money in my sleep. It's the stupidest thing. And I never forget, you know, and some of you guys, you were with me 6 years ago on YouTube, and I'd be washing dishes, and then I'd live stream at night drinking, like, oh, my shoes are wet, my socks are wet. Noodles and rice was food everywhere. Oh my God. Yeah, I'll never take that for granted. And you know, listen, if it all disappeared, I have no problem going back to that at all. I have no problem going back to washing dishes or whatever. Now, thankfully, I would have a little bit of money put away where I, you know, instead of me having to work 40 hours, maybe I'd only have to work 25 or whatever. But I still would always work. But we'll see what happens. I have no idea. It's already going to be going into June, and I'm still in Texas. And you know what? I would like to leave Texas by July 1st. Will it happen? I don't know. So anyways, looks like I'll be calling the Ford dealership and scheduling an appointment. For the worst case scenario that this mechanic can't fix it, I'll have to take it to the dealer and pay their ransom, whatever they charge an hour. What are they charging now an hour? I have no idea. But anyways, just a rambling video. This probably should have been a live, but and I might still go live, but just wanted to get some things off my chest, because it's easy to say you should have done this, you should have done that. There's a lot of people that have been murdered, and I read their story, and I catch myself saying, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have been at that location. You know, you shouldn't have been walking by yourself. It's easy to give advice to others about their life when you're playing armchair detective, when you're playing Monday night quarterback from your lazy boy chair. Things are always easier through the perspective of another when you're not in that same position that they're in.